Will now come to order. Will the secretary please take roll?
Here.
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 Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. In accordance with the Pennsylvania State Sunshine Law, this board shall render its decision on each case either at the end of each hearing or within 45 days of the hearing. If you are to give testimony in a case, please come to the podium, raise your right hand, and wait to be sworn in. State your name and address and proceed with your testimony. Also, anyone giving testimony who does not become a party to the case may obtain a written decision from the zoning officer. I also have two announcements of law. If you are granted a variance or a special exception, you must wait 30 days from the date of our decision to obtain the necessary permits to start work. However, you may obtain a permit sooner by signing a waiver that any work done during that 30-day period is at your own risk. A favorable decision by this board shall expire 12 months from the date of said authorization in accordance with Section 111 of the zoning ordinance. If you fail to obtain the necessary permits or do not comply with any or all conditions of said authorization, you must seek an extension. Do we have any remarks?
I have one remark, well, two, actually. Don, 10 on Van Buren, on South Van Buren, not Van Buren, Dewey. Still
Dewey,
standing?
I have all the ownership information. We'll
Okay.
get it.
And the other thing is, on Kaiser Avenue, I couldn't vote on it, but, because I live right there, they put Chirilla Garage, and we approved him to sell up to 40 cars. He has far more than 40 cars, and his lot has turned into a storage unit and a huge big mess. So he has failed to comply, as every other.
I've met with him. I don't believe there's a limit on the number of cars the first time he was at the
Right.
board. He appeared
And
at
then
the board a second time.
Right.
And from reading the decision, I didn't see any limit on the number of cars.
I don't think we did cap him when he came back the second time.
But, okay, that's fine. The number of cars, it's not the number of cars he's selling in the front, it's the whole back part of his lot. He's got a limousine that's growing weeds around it, he's got some old trucks, and it's just turning into a huge eyesore in the back. And I couldn't vote on it because I live there and that's my route, and I just don't, it's just turning into something that,
We'll take a look at it.
okay, I don't know what block, it's in the 200 block of North Kaiser.
I know where it's at, and I've met with him once
Okay.
before and asked him to pull the cars back from the corners on Kaiser so you could see to pull out on the Kaiser.
Yes, and
Avenue.
some of the signage was also blocking
Yeah.
the way out, that's all. That's it.
Okay, we'll do the attestment and verification of postings.
I'm going to take that one
Yeah.
comment.
Yes.
I think we should, because we still don't have an alternate for this board, I think we should make another request to council. Don, if you could do
Okay,
that.
Sure.
Do we need a motion on that?
Oh, I think Don could send a letter.
Thank
or email.
Agreed.
Go ahead.
We'll do the attestment.
Yeah, I have posted and advertised the meeting in accordance with the ordinance and the municipality's planning code.
Okay. Call the first case.
Case number one, Northeast Pennsylvania SMSA LP, doing business as Verizon Wireless, seeks variance to install commercial communication antenna on building at 845 Birch Street, the Birch Cutting Building, corner of Birch and Crown.
Okay.
Good evening, folks. My name is Rich Williams. I am the attorney for Verizon Wireless. We have here tonight an application for variance from the provisions of the city zoning ordinance. Specifically, the zoning ordinance requires or basically allows wireless antennas on buildings that are non-commercial and are more than 5 stories in height. In this case, the building we're proposing to mount our antennas on is non-commercial, or it's commercial, it's not residential, but it is less than 5 stories in height. The antennas, although they'd be placed at a center line of 68 and approximately 74 feet on the top of the building, it is still less than 5 stories in height. So we're here seeking a variance for that application. Specifically, the property is located at the corner of Birch Street and Crown Avenue in the city. Verizon, again, is proposing to attach its antennas. There'd be 3 sets of 2 antennas at different locations in the building, attached to a sled on the roof of the building, as well as the parapet side of the building. And at the base of the building, there would be a 25-foot by 25-foot fenced area, which essentially would contain the equipment that Verizon Wireless uses to operate the antennas on the top of the building. We have here 2 witnesses tonight who I think will be able to better explain the application for you and obviously answer any questions that you or the general public might have. First, I'd call Dale Kelman, who is the engineer for Verizon this evening. And what I should also mention to the board is we'll be referring to some exhibits this evening. I placed them in a little booklet to make it easier so we could just flip through them as we go through the presentation. And if there's no objection, I'll just pass them out to everyone right now.
Okay. Thank you. I'll have you swear in, sir. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please state your name and address.
My name is Dale Kelman. My address,
Spell your last name, please.
Kellman. My address is 177 Century Parkway West, Bluebell, Pennsylvania, 19422.
Can you just go to the podium when you speak, so,
Okay, sorry.
when we start to...
Yep.
Dale, could you please indicate what your occupation is to the board?
Okay, I'm a engineering manager for MB&C, managing the Civil Wireless Engineering Department in the Bluebell office.
Okay, and do you have any familiarity in the design of wireless facilities, such as the one that's being proposed before the board here this evening?
Yes, I do.
And are you familiar with the application that's been submitted by Verizon Wireless on this matter?
Yes, I am.
All right, I'm going to show you the booklet, tab 1, or the document which we've marked for identification as applicant's exhibit number 1. I ask if you can identify whether that's the application, please.
Yes, this is.
Okay. And in addition to the application, did Verizon Wireless submit plans to the board?
Yes.
I'm going to show you a document in the booklet. The document we marked for identification is applicant's exhibit number 2, and I ask if you can identify that, please.
Yes, these are the construction drawings that we prepared at the request of Verizon for the property.
And do the plans that are marked as applicant's exhibit number 2 adequately depict what's proposed for the facility here this evening?
Yes, they do.
For the board's benefit, could you just generally describe the location of the building within the city?
Okay, so the building is located at I guess the corner of Birch and Crown Streets, surrounded by three streets, frontage on Birch, frontage on Crown, and there's a side street, Smith.
Okay, and what is the building currently used for?
I believe the building is currently used as for commercial use for the Birch Cutting Company. I think they manufacture textiles in there. So.
And what is the zoning classification of the property, if you know?
It's R1A district, medium-low residential.
Okay. And with reference to the plans that we've marked as applicant's exhibit 2, can you please describe for the board exactly what Verizon Wireless is proposing?
Yes, so my client is proposing to construct a wireless facility on the site, which comprises of a 25-foot by 25-foot fence compound. The height of the fence is approximately 8 feet tall. In addition to that, they will be installing antennas and associated equipment on the roof in 3 locations. 2 of the locations are located at the western corner of the building, which is at the intersection of Birch and Smith, and then the other it's located on that same high level roof, but facing more towards the north of the the building.
Okay, and Dale, for the board's benefit, what is the height of the roof of the building?
The height of the roof itself, and that's the level below the parapet, is roughly between 63 and 64 feet.
Okay, and how about the parapet wall on top of the roof?
The parapet wall comes to a total height of 67 feet from ground level.
Okay, and how about the roof of the penthouse? What's the elevation of that?
If I remember correctly, I think that is around 70 feet.
Okay, and what are the heights that Verizon Wireless is proposing to install its antennas?
Okay, so Verizon's antennas, I believe the rad center is coming up at 74 feet, and the tip of the antenna will come to a total of about 78 feet.
Okay, and then let's talk a little bit more about the locations of the antennas and the penthouse on the building. Now, is the penthouse on the roof of the building, is that flush with Birch Street or Schmidt, or is it set back on the building roof to some extent?
It's set back on the building roof, yes.
Okay, and where will the antennas be located? Will they be affixed to the face of the penthouse, top of the penthouse, or other locations on the roof?
Currently, we are showing them affixed to the inside of the parapet wall.
Okay, and are there any other locations on the building? For instance, is there a sled or any type of structure where the antennas will be placed?
Yes, I'll say about 20 feet away from them, again, to the north. There are another 2 antennas that we're installing on a non-penetrating sled, which
Okay, and what's the total number of antennas proposed for the building?
total of 6 antennas.
And could you describe for the board basically what an antenna looks like, just the type that would be installed?
Okay, so the antennas being installed here, they're probably roughly 8 feet tall by 1.5 feet wide. The color from the manufacturer is off-white color.
Okay, and have you analyzed as to whether the roof and the penthouse of the building can adequately support the weight of the added antennas and equipment?
Yes, our structural team has run an analysis
Okay.
on that. Yeah.
And can the building structurally support the added weight of the additional antennas?
Yes.
Now, will the facility be manned or occupied, or will it be unmanned in any fashion?
The facility will be unmanned and totally automated.
How about any sewer water? Is there any sewer water required for the facility?
No.
How about electric? Is there any electrical service required?
Well, yes, to power the equipment on the ground level and the radios at the top.
Okay, and where will the electric be run, if you know?
The electric for this, if I remember correctly, will be run and tied into the actual building electrical system,
Okay.
if I remember correctly.
Now, you also mentioned, I believe, a 25-foot by 25-foot lease area for ground space?
Yes.
Is that located on the ground?
Yes.
And where would that be located relative to the building?
So it's going to be located at the rear of the building, on the north side of the building, just, south of Smith.
And what type of equipment would Verizon Wireless house within that 25-foot by 25-foot area?
So they'll be housing the 2 BTS cabinets, which will house the equipment, the radio equipment in there, as well as a 30 kVA generator for backup power, as well as a Mesa cabinet, which serves as the DMARC for their fiber. I just wanted to add one correction to my earlier testimony as far as power. Actually, power for this site actually be fed directly from a separate service in the street, which will then go towards a H-frame, which will house the meter for the electric service.
Now, Dale, I know you mentioned a generator. How often would a generator like this be utilized by Verizon Wireless?
Not very often. I think they run it once a month for as required for testing. But it's not going to be needed very often, only in times of a power outage.
Okay, and would you anticipate the generator causing any type of excessive noise to the area?
No, I don't.
Okay, and if you could look in the booklet at the document we've marked for identification as applicant's exhibit 3, I ask if you can identify that, please.
Okay, right here. So what we have here are the generator noise level specs provided to us by the manufacturer. It lists the noise levels at different ranges, from 1 meter up to 8 meters.
Okay, and what was the average decibel level at 7 meters?
For a generator this size, the average at 7 meters is just under 64 decibels, 63.6 to be exact.
Okay. And then finally, will the fence that it will be installed by Verizon Wireless, would that be locked to prevent access by unauthorized persons, if you know?
Yes, it will.
No further questions of Mr. Kelly.
I have a question for you. Maybe you can answer.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with it's a building on the corner of Jackson, I think North Rebecca. It's an old school. It's now apartments. Can you, like, compare the antennas that you want to put on this building to what's on that building? Are you aware, do you know the building I'm
I
speaking
know
of?
exactly the building that you're talking, in fact.
And I'm pretty sure one of them is a Verizon tower, so that's why I was asking. Can you just kind of do a little comparison as to what we're going to?
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Dale.
Well, I drove by there and I don't remember seeing antennas on the building, to be honest.
Oh, really? There's a whole bunch of antennas?
Yeah, and I guess I totally missed those. I apologize. So I can't really truthfully give you a comparison of what they are, but just judging by the height of that building over there, we not going too much higher than that building, probably possibly the same height. Typical Verizon builds, or what we're proposing here is a typical Verizon installation. Again, based off the knowledge that I have of what Verizon's done in the past, it shouldn't be much different than to us there. But again, I would have to see that to kind of.
Do you know
But
the building I'm talking?
What I'm going to suggest is we have another witness, Andy Peterson, and just hold this for a second. He
Yep.
has an exhibit that's been prepared. It's actually, we're going to introduce it as applicant's exhibit 5.
Okay,
And
well,
on-
when it's his turn, he can ask.
I was going to say, because
Yep.
there's a listing of all the Verizon sites and the heights of those sites in this booklet. So that's what I was just going to say, that he may know exactly what the height of that building and those antennas are. So we'll ask Andy when he comes up.
Okay,
What was the height of the pole itself on top of the building?
Of the new building that we're going on to, it's not a pole. If you're thinking of more like a monopole in the building, is that what you're thinking of? Or so the antennas themselves totally, it goes up to 78 to the top. That's the highest point of the antenna.
So
78
pretty
feet.
much the top of the building.
Yes, a little bit above the top of the building. I believe that the penthouse is right now at 70 feet. So we're roughly at 8 feet above that.
Thank you.
There's in addition to the antennas on the parapet, they're attaching to the roof what they call a sled. Kind of looks like a football sled. That goes to the roof, and then they attach the antennas on the face of the sled.
Thank you.
Next, I call Mr. Andy Peterson, please.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Name and address, please.
Sure, Andrew Peterson, Peterson. Address is Box 165, Fairview Village, Pennsylvania.
Thank you.
And Andy, what is your occupation, please?
I'm a radio frequency design engineer.
And what experience, if any, do you have in the design of wireless systems such as the one being proposed to the board here this evening?
I've been involved in the design of these types of facilities now for about 20 years.
And what is your professional educational background, please?
I have undergraduate and graduate degrees in electrical engineering from Lehigh University. I'm also a professional engineer registered in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and about 5 other states. I've testified in municipal proceedings like this one probably 1,000 times at this point.
And Andy, can you tell the board, is Verizon Wireless licensed in the city of Scranton and Lackawanna County to provide wireless service?
Yes, they are.
Okay, and if you could look in the booklet at the document we marked for identification as applicant's exhibit 4, I ask if you can identify that, please.
Sure. 4 is a reference copy of the Verizon Wireless licenses that cover this area.
And as a condition of the license, is Verizon Wireless required to maintain any level of service within its licensed area?
Yeah, they're required to maintain what's referred to as reasonably reliable service. That's the ability of users to make, maintain, and receive voice calls with some level of reliability. Further, in today's day and age of usage of our devices, that now extends to data usage and the ability to make, maintain, and receive data sessions with adequate throughput.
Now, Andy, is Verizon Wireless experiencing a lack of reliable service in the city of Scranton as we sit here today?
They are, yes.
And could you please describe or characterize the unreliable service that's being encountered, please?
Sure. The 2 components of service, and I think this board, maybe not too recently, but over the past couple of years has heard this before, so I'll keep it a little bit brief, but the two components of service really are one of capacity and one of coverage. We do have coverage for the most part in the city, other than, there are some spotty areas, and as you get inside into some of the more robustly built structures, we can lose service. But for the most part, there is some decent level of coverage. What's taxing the system now is really the capacity demand of the users. And as that capacity demand continues to grow, that will only worsen over time. Because Verizon Wireless is licensed only to utilize specific portions of the radio spectrum, there's a finite amount of traffic that the existing sites can carry. So once the surrounding sites reach that point of capacity exhaustion, it's necessary that we construct a new facility to relieve some of that burden.
Now, Andy, did you have the opportunity to prepare radio frequency design analysis of the proposed facility?
I did, yes.
Okay, and if you could look in the booklet at the document marked for identification as applicant's exhibit number 5, I ask if you can identify that, please.
Sure, 5 is a copy of the radio frequency design analysis for the site.
And with reference to applicant's exhibit number 5, could you please explain or describe for the board the current level of service within Scranton today?
So there is a decent level of coverage in this area of Scranton, although there are some spotty in-building areas. So this facility will address the capacity issues as well as bolstering the in-building service. But there is, especially during times of peak usage, during evening rush, morning rush, lunchtime, where the surrounding facilities are actually reaching their capacity exhaust state and are no longer able to handle the traffic demand. So folks who are utilizing their device for data services will see that wheel spin as there's some buffering going on as they try to engage with the network for data services. Using voice calls, you may experience a blocked call or an ineffective attempt at a call resulting from that capacity exhaustion.
And Andy, would you see the demand for wireless services within the next several years increasing, decreasing, remaining the same? What would you foresee?
I suspect they'll increase as they have year over year for the past 20 years or so.
And have the increases over the past 20 years been significant, if you know?
They have, particularly within the last decade or so with the advent of data services.
Okay. And if, in fact, this application were to be approved, what additional level of service would be afforded to the city?
Well, we would be able to offload the surrounding sites, particularly a site that's to the west, a site called Taylor. It's an existing 90-foot monopole that's covering a lot of the areas that the proposed facility will offload. So any users of the Verizon Wireless network that are in that geography will connect to their services through the new facility, thus offloading that overburdened site.
In fact, Andy, there was a question before relative to an adjacent building, and just preliminarily, if you could describe for the board, what are the adjacent or close to serving Verizon Wireless facilities to the proposed location?
So they're all existing, well, I should say they're co-located sites like this one, rooftop sites, a billboard site, and then the monopole that I just mentioned. They're all on the order of 60 to 90 feet or so in height of the antennas.
And in fact, if I could just interrupt you, with reference to your report, are you referring to page 3 of 7 of the report that itemizes, it should be applicant's exhibit number 5, which analyzes or indicates the height of the adjacent Verizon Wireless sites?
I am, yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go right ahead.
Sure. So to answer the question from before, I'm not certain which site was being referred to, but
I think it was the old school. It's now it's an apartment building. I think it's on the corner of Jackson and Rebecca. It's
corner of Jackson and
Rebecca, North Rebecca. It's a one-way street.
I'm not certain which.
There's a big hill in front of it. It's not on this list, so.
Oh, okay.
You might not, one of them might not be yours.
Yeah, so
that's why I
maybe
was
it's not
asking if one of them was
maybe
yours.
it's not a Verizon site.
No, there's a whole bunch of them. I just didn't know if one of them is yours. It's fine. I've seen antennas on top of buildings before. I
Yeah, the
I didn't know
antennas-
how visible it was going to be from the.
This is the typical
ground.
panel style antenna. It looks like a shoebox except elongated to about 8 feet. That's really the best way I've heard it described. And they're an off-white color and kind of blend into, especially in this particular setup, when you have a significant building with some antennas from ground level, they generally blend in.
And you said it was an 8x8, and there's going to be where the monitoring station, I guess you call it, the 8x8 fenced-in area? Where, like...
Where they are, yeah, the
Yeah, where they're
equipment
going to put that.
compound.
Where is that going to be relative, like, to the building
I
itself?
believe that's at ground level adjacent to the building.
So next to it, visible to, like, going up Crown Avenue, or going up
Yeah.
Birch Street, or going...
In fact, if I can, I'll come up and show you. There's a map that shows the
Okay.
exact, or maybe Dale has it, do you have it right there?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll give you the big copy so you can see. So we can see. Here's the building here. This is First Street. This is Crown Avenue. This is the alley. So we're talking about having 25 by 25 area. This is the best area. These are the paths and this is really the top of the building. This is the parapet set up a little bit.
I think the drawing you have on the other side there showing the elevation probably give them a better idea of what.
That's even a better copy as well. These are included, by the way, what I'm referring to on the map, exhibit number 2. But this is basically a side profile of the building. This would be the antennas on the slab, as you would say. These would be the antennas on the panels.
Just for the record, there, he's referring to C1 and C2 of his exhibit number 2.
Now, Andy, could you please explain whether the addition of the antennas on the building would cause any type of interference to police, fire, ambulance, television, radio, satellite TV, anything of that nature?
No, it would not.
And have you prepared an analysis as to whether the site would cause any type of interference?
I have, yes.
And if you could look in the booklet at the document we marked for identification as applicant's exhibit 6, I ask if you can identify that, please.
Sure. 6 is an interference analysis for this facility. In a nutshell, Verizon Wireless is licensed by the FCC, as I mentioned earlier, and they, by virtue of that licensure, they are only permitted to utilize very specific portions of the radio frequency spectrum. Other users of the spectrum, whether it's other cellular operators or television broadcasts, radio broadcasts, baby monitors, garage doors, all of these other users are also licensed by the FCC and operate in different, very specifically defined portions of the spectrum. So by virtue of their licensure, there'll be no overlap in channels that could cause any potential interference.
And also, are there any federal health and safety regulations that regulate electromagnetic emissions from a proposed facility?
Yes, there are.
And have you been able to analyze the proposed emissions from this facility?
I have, yes.
Okay, and if you can look in the booklet at the document marked for identification as applicant's exhibit 7, I ask if you can identify that, please.
Sure. 7 is a copy of an electromagnetic exposure analysis that I performed on the proposed facility. In that analysis, I outline exactly how the FCC prescribed formula is applied and the results thereof. In this case, the exposure levels would be less than 7% of the FCC's upper limit for exposure to the general population. And in determining the output of the prescribed formula, I also assume a lot of worst-case assumptions. So even in their cumulative, we're left with an output that the formulas yield, which is significantly less than the FCC's limit for exposure.
Thanks. I have no further questions of Mr. Peterson.
Anyone on the board? No? Is there anyone else here to give testimony?
I guess we're good. I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay. Motion and a second, so we'll call for a vote.
The motion was? Motion to approve.
To approve the variance.
Ms. Newcomb?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Thank you very much for your time. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
With a vote of 4-0, you've been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Call the next case, Richard Harris.
Good evening, folks. I'm John Williams. I represent Mr. Harris in this matter.
Are you an attorney, sir?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
correct.
We could have your client swear in, or you can get started.
Yeah, you could swear him in. I mean, if you want, I mean, just by way of background, I could explain who was cited.
Let's start with, because this is a notice of violation, I think Mr. King should first testify as to what the violation is.
That's fine.
And then give an opportunity to the respondent.
Do I need to be sworn in?
Swear him in.
Please raise your right hand.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, Mr. King. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
My name is Donald King. I'm the city planner and acting zoning officer for the city of Scranton. My work address is 340 North Washington Avenue, Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Thank you.
This case comes by way of an appeal of a notice of violation that I had sent to Richard Harris, dated December 13th, 2019. I'd received complaints from a neighbor about construction vehicles or commercial vehicles parked in a residential zone. In early December, I saw those vehicles there. I issued a notice of violation, again dated December 13th. Mr. Harris filed an appeal to that. I'll pass out some photos for the board members.
Thank you. This is yours. Those aren't.
As you can see in those photos, there's a number of commercial vehicles parked on the property, and that's really the main complaint, is the more than 2 commercial vehicles being parked in a residential zone.
That's just the back view looking, it's from Vampire looking down.
Mr. Williams?
Thank you. I could just ask my client some questions if,
Yeah, he should be sworn in now.
I'm sorry?
Do we swear?
Yeah,
We did not yet.
No, let's swear him in separately.
Okay, that's fine. You can re-swear him.
Please raise your right hand.
Yep.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Name and address, please.
Richard Harris, 1924 Greenridge Street, Dunmore, PA,
you.
18512.
Okay. Rick, can I just ask you, are you the owner of 137 South Grant Ave in Scranton?
Yes.
Okay. Now, on that property, you were cited for operating a business without an occupancy permit, operating a construction company headquarters/storage, and also for parking commercial vehicles in a residential district in violation of section 604.5. You had an opportunity to observe these photographs that were provided to us by Mr. King, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Can you explain to the panel, and I'm looking at the first page, the top photograph and the bottom photograph are substantially similar, is that correct?
Yes.
And that is that a picture of the property looking up your driveway?
Yeah, from Grant Street up to Van Buren.
Okay. At some point, it stops being 137 South Grant Street, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And which vehicles, if any in this photograph, belong to you?
Oh, the red dump and the white van.
Okay, so the white van...
I'm sorry, could you speak in the microphone? We can't hear you.
The white van and the red dump.
So the red dump truck on the left, far left side, and the white van, which is on the far right-hand side. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Is that van a construction vehicle?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yes.
Okay, and how about the dump truck is obviously a construction vehicle? Okay. The rest of the vehicles in that, are they on 137 South Grand Ave?
No.
Okay. I'm going to turn the page. It looks like on page 2, the photograph is again substantially or largely similar to the photographs on the page 1. Same question. Is that the only 2 vehicles on the premises that are?
Just one, actually. It's
Okay.
only showing the one.
It's only showing the one. You can't see the van on the right-hand side on the top of page 2?
Yes.
All right, now on the bottom of page 2, I'm not sure where we're looking. Can you explain to the panel or to the board what this is a photograph of?
That looks like whoever took the picture was standing on, it'd be Norm's property, taking a picture from Van Buren to Grant Street.
Okay, and when you say Norms, is that a neighbor?
Yes.
Okay, and the vehicles that are shown in this photograph, it looks like a Nissan in the foreground. That's not part of your property
No,
or?
none of that's my property.
Okay, and then how about in the background, these construction vehicles? Are any of those on 137 South Grant?
No.
Okay, that's not your property, is that
No.
correct? Now I'm on page 3. The bottom photograph is again very, very similar to the page, on page 1 that we've already discussed. The top photograph looks like it's a close-up of the last photograph, is that correct?
Yes. Looks
Okay.
like whoever it was took a picture from the steps.
Okay, and again, you see what looks like some kind of backhoe or small backhoe type vehicle. Is that vehicle on your property?
No.
Okay. Now, with regard to the vehicles that are on your property, first of all, I don't know, what's your intention with regard to those vehicles? What do you know, what's your ultimate goal with regard to having?
It's a light dump truck. It's a small dump truck. Considering it's not a triaxle, it's small.
Okay,
I do use it periodically throughout the year.
how often do you use it? Do you use it every day, every month, every week? How often?
Sometimes I'll use it daily, and then sometimes I won't use it for a month or so.
Okay.
If I put probably 500 miles on in a year, I put a lot of miles on that.
Okay. And it's not going in and out of your property or
Not
anything
that-
like that on a regular basis?
Not on a regular basis.
Okay. And it's my understanding, and excuse me, Mr. King, was that the primary concern, was the vehicles? Is that
That's
my
correct.
understanding? Okay.
Whose are the rest of the vehicles that are on that lot?
Nobody's on this, nobody else is on that property.
There are no other vehicles on 137 South?
No. I mean, I have my boat, there's a shed that's part of that house.
What about the other equipment? Whose is that?
My son's.
Okay, but that's not on your 137
No,
South Grant Street, right?
no.
Okay.
Whose property is that on?
That'd be the adjoining property, it'd be on Van Buren
And how does he get it in and out of there?
through Grant Street, on Grant Street.
Is there an easement that
No,
property
that's my
has?
son, there's no easement. It's just-
Okay. Well, is there any way to get back to that property, the back of the property?
From Van Buren, no,
No?
no.
So in other words, if someone wanted to park a car in the back of that house, they'd have to come up.
They
through.
have to come up through, which all the neighbors use it for, they bring their grass cutters up and they cut their trees down and they use my property to do all that access to all
What's the
that.
address of that house, that property in the back then?
On South Van Buren? Do you know what it is?
138.
Not your property, the property you're saying the other equipment's on.
Yeah, mine's 137, so it's the flip side of that.
It's on the opposite side?
Yeah, it's the opposite block.
It would be on Van Buren.
Is that right? I understand what he's saying, but I'm just saying, how did that garage get put in there?
The only way that these trucks could get to that rear lot
Is
is
through your
using your property.
Yes.
And was that garage built, I mean, it faces your property.
There is no garage there.
In the back, there's nothing in the
There's
back?
no garage there.
What's this thing back here then, this building right here?
What are you
Looks
looking
like
at?
a garage.
That's
What
the house.
picture are you looking at?
Was that,
That's the house.
was the house there? And that's where the
There's all
property goes
houses.
to that
It's
house?
all houses.
I'm just saying the property belongs to that house there?
No. That's the next door neighbor.
Which, I'm sorry,
This-
which one?
If this is the house he's talking about, it's the next door neighbor.
Which house, sir?
I don't know what-
Which photograph?
Right
are you-
behind the white dump truck, straight back.
Oh.
White house there.
The white dump truck. Oh, this,
That would be the
The
that's
right
a
in the
house.
picture,
Okay.
yeah.
That'd be a house.
All right, that's a house.
So that's the rear of the South Van Buren property?
Yes.
Is what we're saying?
But there's no access from Van Buren, whatever it is, to your,
Just a walkway.
Yeah, there's
to
no
get no
port.
equipment, so equipment has to go through your property.
And have you ever restricted either your son or your neighbor's
No.
access to their
No.
property through
No.
that? Okay.
That's, the kids playing it and everything else. I have no problem with that.
Is there a reason why you don't store it over at your Greenridge and Dunmore house, or?
I'm kind of tight. I have my property and it's pretty tight in.
Right.
And, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but are you looking into putting any or doing
I would like,
construction
yeah, I would like to put a garage up eventually.
on your property?
Yes. 33rd.
So, Mr. King, you're pretty much saying that no matter what, it's being used on this property.
Well, I guess if he wants to force me into it, I could issue a violation against the other property owner and his son for doing that.
Well, again, I mean,
Our primary goal is to get the trucks out of there.
Okay.
well,
He's
Whether it's you-
facilitating that by allowing them to cross his property.
okay. And again, I think what his testimony was is if a neighbor needs to use it to get equipment or stuff in and out, he doesn't prevent them from doing it. Obviously, it's his son.
Yeah,
So,
I
mean,
say that's besides the point. He's allowing a violation of the ordinance to happen by allowing that.
Okay, well, I mean, again, I'd be happy to discuss this with his son, who's not subject to this proceeding today. I'd be happy to do it right now, but I can't, our proposal was he's gonna build a garage to make sure that the equipment that he has, his vehicles are contained within that and not a problem. I can't, like, if you would like me to, I'd be happy to speak with his son and see what we could work out with regard to the remaining issues for the Van Buren Street property.
But
Well, I
is
would
that
ask, I think there's other people that want to testify.
Is
too
that considered a
before-
right-of-way to get back there then?
No,
I'm
it's
sorry?
It's his
Is that
private
considered a
driveway.
right-of-way to get back there? I mean,
There's no driveway, it's just a dirt.
Well, it's gravel, there's gravel under that.
So, I mean,
Is there anyone else? Are you guys good for the moment?
yeah, I have no further testimony. I mean, obviously, you might want to address some of the allegations that are made by some of the other parties that are here to testify, but.
Okay. Is there anyone else here to give
You guys
testimony?
want to take a seat? We'll
Yes, sir.
have the other.
If there's anybody who wants to give testimony, they can come up.
Please raise your
Good
right hand.
evening.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Name and address, please.
Kyle Farrow, 133 South Grand Avenue. If I may approach the panel, I have some pictures taken. This is of the property, and the main issue is, like you said, the dirt road and the trucks. They're conducting a commercial operation out of a residential location, and the fact of the matter is, the kid's a workaholic. 10 to 4 in the morning every day to go to UPS, there's that diesel truck, putt, 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 down the span of a football field to get out of that back lot. This happens every day. There's numerous trucks that are in and out throughout the day, 6 or 7 times throughout the day. Sometimes more, sometimes less, be it as it may. The fact of the matter is the dirt road washes down in front of our house, and my father's 74, he sweeps it up. It's not much, but it accumulates, and it becomes a nuisance time and time again when it rains and it washes out. And there are no triaxles, but there are 3 large 6-wheel, similar diesel-type trucks that all maneuver in and out. And it's not just the father and the son. They allow storage of ATV vehicles up there with other neighbors and trucks, and there's other friends up there. It's just it's a commercial operation in a residential location. And that's all I have to say about the matter.
I don't know, maybe you know, I have family that live a block over, so I take that road quite often, so I know. I've seen lots of empty trailers on that road. the
Right.
corner of right in the corner of Washburn and South Grant, there's a house that has a gated, like a fence.
Right,
Right next to that is where this property is.
right.
Do you know if those were theirs also? Because I've received,
Possibly, I'm not
I've received calls that
100%
there is
sure,
garage
but,
work going out of there, too.
sometimes there's, they'll be moving one truck, and so the trailers will stay out there, or, it's a commercial operation, so sometimes there is, traffic entrapment and whatnot because the trailers are being held up, or there's a truck backing up the street or whatnot, and, it is what it is, so.
And Don, a trailer without a license plate on a street not connected to a vehicle is not legal either, correct?
No, any vehicle on the street
Yeah,
that's
and
not properly
I've seen that happen in front of the
properly
house on
registered.
numerous occasions.
The thing is it's become, not only, I'm not worried about the eyesore, it's become with the storage of the water containers and refrigerators and disposables up there. It looks like a junkyard, but the fact of the matter is just the commotion, and it is what it is, but thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Williams, do you have any questions for Mr. Farrell? You, just, hang on a second.
Sure. Thank you. Mr. Farrell,
Yes.
you indicated that there's a lot of runoff from the dirt road. Is it my understanding or your contention that it's your belief that that's a result of the movement of vehicles, or as a result of rain and washout?
Oh, you know what, I'm sorry. Can one of you get that microphone that's on that small table and
I'll
carry
get
it
it.
across? And then just press the button till the light comes on. There.
Is it your contention, and I'll repeat the question, that the runoff that you're experiencing, the mud from this driveway, is a result of the movement of the vehicles, or is it the result of just natural rain flow, and natural erosion of the property?
I think it'd be a combination of both, but more so just natural rainfall and erosion. It should be done over with macadam or topsoil, but in all regard, but regardless, it shouldn't be operating out of there, so it's
Okay.
material.
And then your primary concern is did you indicate that it's like the vehicles are being moved
The
about at
traffic.
an early hour?
The traffic, it's
Okay.
the early hour, it's Saturdays and Sunday evenings, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, it's, Rich's son lives behind the property, so it's in and out whenever Dave goes in and out of his house, which could be 8, 9 o'clock at night, and it goes up and down that half of a football field length with the big diesels, and it's a commotion.
But that's not my client's vehicles, or to your knowledge,
No,
correct?
but that's the pertinent cause, and that's the reason that we're here.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm clear. It's not
You are.
Mr. Harris, or or Rick Harris driving vehicles?
Correct.
Okay. I have no further questions for Mr. Farrell.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. My name is Kevin Bloom. I live at 136 South Grant Avenue. It's directly across from this property. I just built the house a couple years ago myself there. Mr. Harris, I don't have any problem with Mr. Harris. I don't tell him what he can do. Like when he just had his own vehicle there, the dump truck that he talks about, and his own personal vehicle, the runoff, for what he was saying, the runoff, until they put the driveway in, when it was grass, there was no dirt that came out of there. The driveway got put in, the modified, the dirt, that all started washing out of there as soon as he put the driveway in. As far as the vehicles, when Mr. Harris runs, like he said, he barely runs that truck in and out of there. But as Mr. Kyle said, that the vehicles that are there are numerous. The son brings trucks in and out of there, white dump trucks, his black truck. The trailer you were talking about is his trailer that has the little backhoe on it, the little excavator. Another guy comes up with a big diesel truck that goes up there. There's several people. That's the whole issue here. It's not Mr. Harris having one vehicle there, but he's allowing it to be used by his son as a staging area for his construction company. So I don't have a problem with it. It's his property, but if I was in his shoes, When he comes out of diesel, I get up at 4 in the morning every day. So I hear him coming out. When I'm up, I hear that truck, that diesel coming out. He has bright lights. If my bedroom was on this side of the house, I would definitely have problems with it. But like I said, it's a numerous him using his son. And I know it's not him, but his son is using it as a storage area and a construction area. So if it's just Mr. Harris and his one dump truck in his truck, it wouldn't be a problem. But now that with all of them commercial vehicles being there and going in and out, that's where the issue comes in. And the driveway. That's basically it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Bloom, just a couple questions, real quick.
Sure.
When you say that, and again, to the extent that it's relevant, but you're saying that Mr. Harris, well, first of all, do you know if Mr. Harris resides at 137 South Grand Avenue?
No, I think his daughter resides there in the house, in the front house.
So he's not there all the time?
No.
Okay.
No. I barely see him.
So he's very rarely there?
Yes.
Okay. And you indicated that never had an issue with regard to the stuff on the property?
No, Mr. Harris's red dump truck that he said is there, that truck's there. He may take that truck out once in a great while if he's got to pick up gravel for a job or something. And that was never an issue.
Never a disturbance, no problem with that?
No.
Okay. Have you ever brought up the runoff issue that you experienced recently with Mr. Harris with regard to?
I have not, because it doesn't get across the street to my property. It mainly comes out of there and runs right down, and there's a little dip in the road in front of his house, George's house, and that's where it pools up. They have a picture of it, it'll show. He sweeps that religiously, keeps the front of the house clean. It's constantly building up there. He'll shovel it into a pile, and then he'll bring it over to my property to throw over. I have a little embankment that he'll throw it over there so he can clean up.
Okay. And when you say, and again, I don't know how relevant it is, but when you say that Mr. Harris's son, David, leaves at 4 a.m. and he's driving a diesel, do you see the vehicle? Is it like his personal vehicle that he's driving, or is it like
it's his personal vehicle, and then he has a white dump truck that normally late at night he'll back that dump up with the reverse alarm on it.
Okay.
that goes off, which is a commercial vehicle.
Okay, so when he leaves at 4 a.m., he's driving his personal vehicle, which is it's just a big truck.
Well, it's a
diesel.
commercial vehicle that has his, it obviously ain't a commercial vehicle because it has his name of his construction company on it, so that would make it a commercial, that would make it a business vehicle that he's writing out for business.
Well, I don't mean, let me correct myself, I don't mean whether or not it's branded. I mean, if it's, is it like a truck that would be typically used on a road? It's not like a construction vehicle, right?
It's not it's just a diesel pickup, an extended cab Dodge,
All right.
1 ton pickup truck.
So
he hauls his machine with.
So he's leaving for work basically at 4 a.m. and he's
Yes.
taking his truck out. Okay. Okay. I have no further questions for Mr. Bloom. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else to give testimony? Sir?
I own the property next door. I'm the one who was shoveling the dirt all the time.
Do you mind just raising your right hand?
Okay, right in.
Yeah. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
George Farrell, 133, 135 South Grand Avenue.
Thank you, sir.
PA.
You said you've been cleaning up the debris?
Pardon me?
You said you've been cleaning up the debris?
Yeah, for years. And a couple of years ago, I said to him, I said, you guys start cutting. And the son, I have nothing against him, but he said, yeah, I will get it. That went on for 2 years. I took wheelbarrows of dirt out every time it rained. Not wheelbarrows, but I don't carry buckets, but they were like too much for a bucket, so every time it rained. And it's right in front of my house, in front of my garage, and I drive my car in the garage every night. I'm 74 years old, I'm still working. I want to get in a warm car in the morning. I don't want to be tracking in dirt and everything. I asked him one time, I said, that's all you need to do is get the dirt out of the way. Why should I be cleaning your dirt? Oh yeah, we'll get it. As my son probably mentioned, they never got it. They never did it. And it kept building up, but then when the trucks came about and stuff, it's crazy. It's like a turnpike, really. There's tractor trailers backing down with the truck on it, putting equipment on it constantly. In the summertime, it's even worse. Naturally, there's more construction going on in the summertime. I'm not trying to ruin the guy's business or anything, but I don't think he should be involved in his residential district with all them vehicles. If you notice them pictures that were just taken in the last 2 days, now that's after they were told to be out of there and they appealed it. That's not proper. A proper neighbor would probably do something different, or make some resolution and say, I'm going to make this better. I'm not going to be doing something that's annoying my neighbors. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Don King, thank you very much.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Anyone else?
My client can address at least some of the concerns with regard to the runoff.
Okay, so you can go back
we
up
could go
there.
back up there. Rick, you heard the testimony of your neighbors. Sounded like they had concerns with regard to the vehicles that your son is taking out of there. However, it sounds like a big concern is the runoff from the driveway. Has any steps been taken by you to remediate the runoff coming from the driveway?
Well, we put gravel down, and then
Again, please, into the
Yeah,
mic.
into the
I'm
mic,
sorry.
I'm sorry.
we have gravel down. The problem is we salt it, and it loosened everything up. So we had a couple truckloads of millings, but the millings, it has to warm up for them to grab to get hard. It hasn't warmed up, and it's not going to warm up for a couple months.
Okay. And
Those millings will stiffen up.
Do you think that will help remediate some of the?
Oh, yes, yeah. And you always had water runoff. The issue is what he's talking about, it's right at the corner of my property. They had a problem with the sewer line. When they ran the gas line in, they hit like 6 sewer lines going down through a couple blocks. And they had to come back and fix it. Now it's sagged, and that's where it runs into that. It's a low area in the street.
Okay, so the stormwater runoff is.
The storm, even the road runoff runs to that side and it stops in that area. It's a low area of that street.
And are you willing to work with your neighbors if they bring to your attention that there continues to be runoff problems to try to address that concern?
Yeah, we could keep cleaning that up until it stiffens up. It has to stiffen up, but that's not gonna happen for a couple months.
And if there's still a problem after that stiffens?
Well, keep addressing it. And we are addressing it.
It doesn't seem like runoff is the problem. It seems like the parking of commercial vehicles that aren't being used to and from work, that's the problem.
Well, and
The
again-
runoff is not,
These guys are.
that's not what's in this letter.
Okay, well, again, I think the testimony you heard from the witnesses were that they, basically, they didn't have trouble with my client, Mr. Harris's vehicles, that they had never been a problem, they're not used on a regular basis, they're not coming out in and out at, at early hours. The testimony I heard is that his son uses that to take his personal vehicle to drive to work out, and it's a diesel pickup. And again, I can't speak as to what he's doing, and I'd be happy to try to negotiate it so we don't have to come back here. But, I can only work with what I got. My client was cited for 3 things. I can't prepare to argue those 3 things. I don't know what else to do with regard to the things that were brought up today with regard to stuff that's related to his son. And like I said, I'm willing to work with the city, I'm willing to work with the board to try and find a solution that works for everybody so we can get, everybody happy in the neighborhood.
It seems like the solution is he needs to move these vehicles to a commercial lot and out of a residential area. You have all kind of building supplies back there, shingles. It's a residential neighborhood. If you see the pictures that they gave us, and I was up there today.
There's not a lot back there.
There's what?
What's back, there's construction stuff, there's not a lot back there.
I mean,
You want to to look through the pictures?
Are we talking about 137 South Grant or 138 South Van Buren? I mean, I don't know, I'm
Either
dealing
way, it's the driveway that goes into that lot.
Yeah, and I could tell you that, you know, he says that there's some stuff on his property that he's planning on using if he...
On that eventually on that
Yeah, he's gonna
property.
use it.
Has that
for it.
driveway always been there?
No.
No.
It's been there a while.
Did you ever get a permit for anything for a driveway there, or they just backed them up, Don? I mean,
This is a Google photograph of the property from May 2012.
so that technically is not a driveway,
Did you have a driveway?
correct?
It was grass.
That's okay.
It was grass I was going up.
Oh, so it wasn't, it was,
It wasn't, we didn't have it gravelled out, it was grass.
so in 2012,
Yeah.
well,
See,
you were still using it, it looks like there's some
Yeah.
use there, okay.
But beyond the house, it was all grass.
Oh, I see what you're saying, back that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know, I can't tell.
So Don, there was never no permit
Mr.
to put a
Vincent.
driveway in there?
No, and according to the ordinance, a driveway, all portions of required parking, loading, facilities, and driveways shall be surfaced with asphalt, concrete, or decorative paving block,
Not just dirt and mud and grass?
or gravel,
And again,
unless it's temporary. Gravel lot is okay if it's temporary use.
What if I put
you wanna put out-
millings, well, if it's millings, same
That's
thing,
asphalt.
it's asphalt.
again, you know,
Millions.
I don't want to sound, you know, like a lawyer, but I mean, I came here prepared to argue three very specific issues, and I understand that there are other concerns on the property, and I'm happy to help address them. I'm just not prepared to talk about, you know, what we can do as far as the driveway. If the driveway needs to be asphalted, he's more than willing to do that, given adequate time, provided that the millings that he already put down isn't sufficient. I mean, he's happy to work with the city. He's not trying to fight you. He just wants, you know, there's only so much I can do based on what I got, you know. He's not running a business out of that property. His business is run out of Dunmore. He has a dump truck on the property sometimes. You know, he doesn't use it very regularly. That's it.
Can your client talk to his son? and get those
I will be
vehicles
happy
out.
to discuss with his son and try to resolve the problems in the neighborhood. I just don't know, you know, instead of citing him, or you could cite him now, and we could try and work it out in the interim. I have no problem with that, but I would like to try and do that, and to see if we can work it out between the neighbors, if we can. That's what I would like to do. But if I understand if the board, if the city has to issue a citation, that's, you know, I understand that. But I'm willing to talk to him. I could talk to him today if you want. I can talk to him now.
Is millings considered as,
I would request the city maybe come out and take a look at
is
it.
millings considered as a pavement? Because once that millings get
I don't
hard.
think the driveway's the problem, it's the vehicles
the
coming in and out.
vehicles.
Okay, but
It's-
we
it's the
keep
vehicles
going,
that are
we keep going around here.
Yeah, well, no, he's,
Yes.
I understand what,
I
the
understand
board
what you're
is very
saying.
concerned with the
Yes.
vehicles, and there's some issues with regard to ordinances, whether or
Yeah.
not the driveway is.
I would think there
satisfies the
probably wouldn't be at least as much of an issue with the driveway if there weren't trucks going in and out of it every day.
On an everyday basis.
ordinances. Well, like I said, I don't know, again, it's up to the board what they would like to do. I'm happy to try and resolve this, so we don't have to take up the city's time and the board's time trying to resolve a neighborhood.
Unfortunately, it looks like at this point, you know, we can move forward, and then Don's going to be forced to go back and find that the vehicles are on, not an invisible line, but one side of a property line instead of the other, and we have to start over with 138 South Buren.
Right.
So-
That's that's ultimately.
The runoff is a result of construction-type vehicles being used on the property.
Okay, and again, I don't want to, I'm not going to dispute that. I don't know whether it is or not. I'm not an engineer.
And it's
But-
at least, it's
I'm a
clear
It
that
could-
there's
it could
only
be
one way
negative.
in and out of the property, and that is it.
Well, as a contractor, that, like I said, that driveway is not hard yet. That driveway needs to stiffen up.
All right. I'm
we're
less, they're less worried about the driveway, but
Yes.
we do want to get the
We
trucks
keep
out of there,
coming
that's the
back around.
concern. So with your leave, I'd be happy to speak with the son and see what we could do as far as trying to get them out of there.
I'm worried that you speak with the son and we're still going to have that problem 30 days, 60 days down the road.
But that's what I mean, if you-
I think we need to do something tonight.
Okay.
Or perhaps Mr. King can cite your son, and we come back with both of you here, you and your son, and we can continue this case until we cite the son and reschedule it with both of them here. So we solve the whole problem all at once.
with your permission, I'll talk to him tonight and see what I can work out. If we can work something out, great. If we can't, then you can
But the
follow
only
that
solution
path.
is,
The only solution is get the
solution
vehicle.
is
Well,
to
yeah,
move
that's-
everything.
I know, I understand, but I would like to talk to the neighbors and his son and see what we can work out. I mean, again, I don't represent either of them, I represent him, but I want to try and, I don't want to have to come back here with his son to try and help him with this matter if we could avoid it. So let me talk to him, I'll be happy to do that, and maybe if the neighbors want to stick around and
Can I
talk to
say
you.
one other thing?
Sure.
We
Come on up,
wouldn't have
please.
a problem, most of us wouldn't have a problem. I know, Rich, Van Buren's a very tough spot to
If you don't
park.
mind, it's just the microphone makes it easier for the
Um,
stenographer.
Van Buren is a very tough spot to park. There's not a lot of parking over there. So if it was a driveway going in to let the neighbors park their own personal vehicles up there and to have a spot to the back of their house, it wouldn't be an issue. But as we said, there's more than one commercial vehicle. And in the summertime, as Kyle stated, there's tremendous vehicles going in. Not just Mr. Harris and his son, but there's other kid comes up with a skid steer and a trailer, which is parked on the road sometime, the excavator, the big white dump truck, a smaller white dump truck. So there's more vehicles that come there in the summertime. Right now, you're only seeing the vehicles that are parked, they use them for salting and stuff like that. But to use it as a parking spot for the neighbors, I don't think Mr. Farrell would have a problem with that. But when they're running in and out of there and they're creating all of this dirt and all this stuff coming out, sometimes when it's muddy, they'll leave dual tracks down the road. And any construction site, they normally have to have a water truck clean that behind them.
Yeah.
So that's the only problem. If it was used personally for vehicles that were their house, it wouldn't be an issue.
You say you see him leaving at 4 in the morning. Does he ever come out with a trailer with him?
Yes, he does.
With a trailer
He's
and
come
a
out with his
machine?
trailer and the excavator behind him at
Excavator
4 in the
behind
morning.
him, 4 in
He
the
creeps it out. I mean, he tries to be quiet. It's a diesel
Right.
truck. When
But
you've
it's
got
a-
that much weight behind you, you're gonna make noise.
But that is a commercial vehicle, because
Yes.
like you said, it's lettered.
Yes.
So it's automatically a commercial vehicle.
Yes. So, I mean, that's the only issue we're having. If it was, like they said, they paved it, they used it for parking for neighbors to have an additional parking lot, Van Buren, that wouldn't be an issue. But the amount of vehicles that it's starting to get, when it was just Rich's, and he had his own little construction company there was never an issue. But at times, there's a lot of vehicles that travel in and out of there. And that's where Mr. Farrell's got a big problem. I don't have a problem. I've been construction my whole life, so I understand where he's coming from. It's tough to find it, but there's lots, like you said, around the city that you can get that you can have a commercial business on. So if his son's doing that well, buying all this machinery, then he could afford to put a little bit into a little building somewhere and have his construction business, not in a residential neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you or any of the neighbors concerned about what the trucks are doing to the road, to damage the road, with the weights?
The road was paved a couple years ago. It's already cracking up. Anytime you get any type of vehicle, especially all the digging they're doing around the city, these roads are paved, but they're splitting. You're getting a lot more vehicles, like especially heavy vehicles on it. It's gonna have a toll on us. I mean, but that's any road in the city, ever since they're doing all this digging. So I couldn't really talk on that, on what it's doing to the road. So if
Thank
they
you.
were loaded, yes. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I think Mr. King will allow you 30 days to talk to your son, talk to the neighbors, try to work this out, come back next month and report to us if I want to hear from the neighbors, if they're satisfied with what's going on. And otherwise, we're going to have to cite your son.
Well, I will cite the other property owners too, just to
Yeah,
to facilitate it.
Hopefully be unnecessary. I'll do what I can to try and resolve it between the
Yeah.
parties. Okay? I
Okay,
appreciate
so-
that.
Do we need a formal
Yeah,
ask for a continuance here?
Don, you're going to have to
But just,
ask for
I
the
think-
30 days.
I think what Mr. King is saying, he's gonna go out soon and cite the other homeowners, so
Right, so we
everybody's
get-
in on this.
Yeah,
get
so we make
everybody-
sure we have all
everybody
the
here.
parties,
Everybody's
And I
here.
think to save
all the
yourself,
parties here.
No, that's fine. Don't worry about
to save yourself a big headache, I think it's
We're gonna take
easier
care
just
of
to
this.
move the
We're gonna
stuff.
take care of this. I know, we're gonna take care of it. All right, I appreciate it, the 30-day continuance. I will do what I can to try and resolve this between now and then. Hopefully, we won't have to have any kind of hearing, and we can just resolve
Okay.
this.
Thank you.
Do we need to vote on that?
The board will have to
Now,
vote on
because this
it.
is an appeal, we don't have to vote on the continuance?
Yes, you do have to vote on the
Okay,
continuance.
then I'll make a motion for the continuance.
Second.
Okay.
Ms. Newcomb,
Yes.
Mr. Morris,
Yes.
Mr. Walsh,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So we're continued to the next meeting, which I believe is March 13th.
Thank you, gentlemen, yes.
We're going to take a quick 5-minute recess before the next case. We'll call the next case. We have Exor Asset Management. Yeah. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Can you raise your right hand, please?
Yes, sir.
Swear you in. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Name and address, please.
Russ Brzezinski, 87 Allen Loop, Staten Island, New York, 10304. Okay. Brzezinski. Braginskiy. 87 Allen Loop, Staten Island, New York, 10304. All right.
Thank you. You can proceed.
I didn't come here with a lawyer. See a lot of people lawyered up for no reason. I've been here since last August. We've been looking at property. We've been staying in Scranton. We've been eating in the restaurants. We've been going to see the sites. We've been going to the festivals. We've been here for a while. We were initially looking to make an investment here. After quite a lot of research, we, as in me, my wife, and my family, that's why they're here. We're all part of the same group. We wanted to make an investment in the city. We love it. We love the architecture. We love the people. Everybody's extremely nice. We don't get that in New York, unfortunately. And after going through about a dozen, maybe 14 homes that we were looking to purchase, we saw a common problem. They're old, dilapidated, old electric, old heating, old windows. We would have invested, and we would have had to continue to invest in those homes to keep those homes to the shape that we want. That we want it to be at A class. Initially, when we came upon the Scranton Electric Bldg, it was brought to us by a gentleman that is part of the city. He's here. He lives here, and we went through the motions. We thought it was a great idea. We noticed that a lot of the student housing that's around the downtown area is just lacking. Every year they just slap a coat of paint and they call it a day. The windows are from God knows when. The water heaters are from 100 years ago. I've heard horror stories, and we've spoken to probably maybe 30 to 40 students over the last 6 months, and everybody shares a different horror story where ceiling collapses, there's mold, there's a leak. They were forced to live in the living room for, 30 days, 40 days while somebody fixes it. Heating expenses going through the roof because obviously windows are bad, insulation is terrible. These are the things that I've been hearing besides the lack of laundry services, the lack of a restaurant or a place to get food, especially in the hill section, there's nothing. Maybe to go after a certain hour, there's nothing. And so we came up with this concept to turn the Scranton Electric Bldg into a nice dormitory residences for students. So not transient housing, not somebody who's going to live there for a month and disappear. Year-long leases for students. There's 3 universities. There's actually, even Drexel sends its students here to do rotations. So there's technically 4 universities that have students in the area. We're investing close to $9 million between the acquisition, the construction, fixtures, the laundry machines, the gym that we're going to have downstairs in the basement, the yoga room that we're going to have downstairs in the basement, beds, TVs, couches. I mean, we're making everything brand new and fresh. We're spending quite a lot of money. And the goal here is to create a better quality product that every student that I have spoken to, every single one that lives off campus, has just went bananas for. They want it, they want to see it. Some are upset because they're seniors and they can't be here next year if it was to be finished. There's excitement from the student base because where they're living now is inadequate. It's older, it's dilapidated, it's, you know, and it's at some points, the further you go away from the university, it's a little bit unsafe. You know, for our building, we're planning a 3-layer security where entrance from the front, entrance with the elevator, and entrance when you get onto every floor, you have to swipe. So, you know, security is very important for us, and having a good quality, high ceilings, big windows, new windows. So we're doing a complete gut renovation of the building that includes windows, flooring, elevators, everything except anything that's historic. That is all staying. So we are going for some tax credits, especially historical tax credits. And if you know anything about that, the guidelines for that in terms of construction are very stringent. So for me to create an original building to what it was back 80, 100 years ago, we're going to have to spend some money. And that's what we're planning on doing. I want to bring it back to historical significance. We're not touching anything historical. Everything's going to stay. Obviously, the sign is staying. That's the prettiest part of the building. The lobby is original. That's going to stay. Anything that, you know, once we pull things off the ceiling, the drop ceiling, anything that's original is staying. And that's how I want to keep it. I'm not there to tear anything down. I'm just there to spruce it up, make it nice, make it new, make it efficient. Because a lot of the utilities there are old, so I want to bring in new heating systems, new electric systems, LED lighting. I want to make it as efficient as possible. And I want to make it good for the students, because from what I've seen over the last, you know, what is it now, 8 months, it's not good. And this is where the whole concept came from. I have a sample of a floor plan that we are planning on having. And if you want, I can bring that over to you so you guys can take a look. Yep, that's the same thing. Pretty much the goal is all the rooms are between 150. I think the largest room is about 270. Give or take a foot. This is just a preliminary floor plan, but this is approximately what it could look like. Every 2 rooms share a bathroom. At about the 14 houses that I've seen, there's close to maybe 4 people sharing a bathroom, where there's 4 apartments and 1 bathroom. And every house that I've seen, everybody's renting per room. And I'm providing the same cost, but just a better quality product where, you know, obviously everything that we're doing is we're not charging anybody utilities. Everything's included. We're not here to make $1 zillion. We're here to provide a good product. And like I said, when we were here, we're looking to stay here. Not stay here, but my family, we want to live here. We want to buy a house in the Hill section. We were looking at that as well. But for, you know, one of the guidelines for us to do that was to start an investment here as well on top of that. So again, we want to be part of the community. We want to create something for the community. We want to stay in the community. I want to have more kids in the community. I mean, this is the game plan that we want to go by. In terms of, that was the phase 1 of the project. Phase 2 is a little bit out in the open. I don't think you guys have seen any of the renderings. Nope. Building on the back on North Washington. This is a more of an aerial view. You guys can all see it? This is another side. Just put it up this way.
Russ, why don't you put it on that one? Yeah.
So you got 3 sides of a building in the back on the parking lot where I believe it's 320 North Washington, which is, I think, 4 doors down from here. There was, on a small part of that land was an existing building I think my designers made a little mistake on this one. These buildings are not supposed to be so close together. It's supposed to be about a 15-foot gap, because that property doesn't belong to the parking lot. But the goal for this building is a mix of office, maybe some co-working spaces for smaller, startups. Maybe on a couple floors of that, residential, and we haven't really come up with a full scope of residential. It could be condos, it could be rentals, it could be apartments. It's a little bit up in the air for that building. It's, this is phase 2. That's going to happen in a couple of years. And then obviously rooftop restaurant. I was in the restaurant business for quite a while, for about 10 years, where we ran and operated facilities. And my background is, finance and economics. I worked at BlackRock Financial Management for almost a decade. So everything I do is very structured. It's very planned. This is preliminary, so I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Nothing is set in stone, but I do want it to be something for the community, right? I want something to draw. I want to draw people into Scranton. I don't just want to build a building and fill it with space. I want to build something and have people come here from all over Pennsylvania, right? The rooftop restaurant is something that we really don't have. And it's something that's going to draw people from the north, from the south, from the east, from the west, from all over, just to come here and experience the views of the valley. In terms of the office portion, co-working, I think there is a co-working facility that the chamber is working on, but from what I hear, it's not exactly co-working, it's more like offices. I want to give opportunity to younger generation, younger students, maybe students with ideas, give them something for like $50 a month or $100 a month, let them have an office where they can create a business. Have kids go to college but not leave, right? They finish their education but stay here. They don't leave to another city and find another job somewhere. For that to happen, we have to create something here for that and give them the opportunity to do so. So a lot of for these projects, I am hiring local students with help in whether it's project management, whether it's marketing, whether it's design. We are going to list some jobs in Lackawanna, in Marywood, and in University of Scranton. So the goal here is, we want to be part of the community. That's the goal. I want to provide something that the kids don't have now. I want to give them something that they don't have to, they don't have to be afraid coming home at night in the hill section, walking 4 blocks from the university. It's a lot of times it's very dark. It's not lit. We are in downtown. Downtown's always lit. Downtown's always safe. We're going to have a triple security system. Obviously, the restaurant is going to be open late, so kids, their biggest complaint is pizza, late night pizza and bar food. So we listened to that. And we took that feedback, and part of this building is going to be a restaurant that should be open, up to maybe 2 or 3 in the morning, so these kids don't have to starve until the morning hours until something opens. In terms of the operations itself, I do have everybody's local. All the contractors are local, the project managers are local, the assistant, the property managers are local. Everybody's local. My super's local, the porter's local. We're creating probably close to 10 jobs. That's only for the first building. Only phase 1, we're creating 10 jobs. This is probably another 10 if not more. That's the goal. We want to see progress. And I think Scranton is a great city. I think there's a lot of opportunity here. I don't know why it hasn't grown faster than it has, but we're here to make that help.
Sorry.
Yes, okay, please.
You can finish. I'll...
I would like to hold off any decisions for 30 days if we could, maybe until the next meeting. Maybe I'll come back with some more material for you guys if this doesn't suffice, but I'd like to hold off any decisions. If you have questions, I'll take them, but just not to make any decisions tonight, if that's possible.
You probably could have filed a continuance earlier before then you wouldn't have had to come back twice.
Oh, that's fine. I'm here all the time anyway. It doesn't hurt me at all.
First of all, I was born in Staten Island, and I'm from New York, and I've been to a lot of buildings that are not the wealthiest, and you say 150 to 225 square feet. My living room is that size. So and then you're sharing bathrooms. It says every 2 rooms will share a large bathroom. That sounds like a rooming house to me, not an apartment building.
Right, but this is not an apartment building. This is a dormitory residence for students. A rooming house is a little different. Rooming house, you rent per room, he's here today, gone tomorrow. That's not the goal. I'm not in that business.
Are the tenants required to be students?
I would like that to be the case.
Well-
obviously, I know your concern. The concern is there's going to be people from all sorts of life that are going to be filing applications here. First of all, I take 1-year leases. Second of all, we're going to have a stringent application process where I'm not going to be taking anybody under a certain credit score or under a certain income. Most of the time, parents will co-sign for the students, which is what happens in all the dorms anyway. I think by that process alone, we eliminate almost 99% of anybody who thinks they're going to be able to get into an apartment. Because if they wanted an apartment, they could go rent one for $500. It's easy. They don't have to come to me. But I'm going to be more expensive than that.
It's a beautiful design, and the concepts are incredible. Restaurant sounds amazing. My question is, has this project or a similar project been considered meeting the 600 square foot minimum?
This one, the second one?
Both buildings.
So the second one will definitely be the 600 square foot minimum. I think that it's going to be mostly, it would be even larger than that. I think the 1 bedrooms would be around 7 and the 2 bedrooms would be closer to 1,000. But
Is there a way to do both buildings like that?
Say it again?
Is there a way to do both buildings like that?
Unfortunately, the Scranton Electric Bldg is kind of small. And the way it's designed, I've just tried to design residential there. The investment that it's going to take to bring this building to its historic significance, you're losing money. I think the cost of, in the end, in terms of making a profit, I'm losing about $800,000 after making all the investment. It doesn't make
And that has to do with
financial sense.
Has to do with the footprint of the building, where the columns are.
Right, and that's not even,
Yeah.
it's a U-shaped, right? Because you have this U here,
Yep.
which hurts all of these units here because they have windows facing the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't if this was filled in, I could probably squeeze out another apartment, and that might help, but that's not the case. And I'm not here to change the building facade. That's not something I would want to do. I wouldn't want to touch a historical building like that.
So if you advertise this as a dormitory,
Correct.
and you don't know for sure that you're going to get college students, it doesn't seem like you're going to get many
I have about 12 people on the ground here, real estate agents, brokers, property managers. I have a very big budget for marketing. And I have probably around 40 students that I already know personally. Marketing was going to start this year, before the building even gets into construction, if you guys allow it.
Yeah, because this is 375 square feet below just the minimum.
Right, I understand that. And that's why it's not a livable space for somebody a student will understand that. And I've seen some of the student housing that's in the hill section. They're not getting 200 square feet rooms. They're getting 120 square feet rooms. They're getting 130 square feet.
But the total unit needs to be above 600 for them.
No, I understand that. But that's why I'm requesting the variance. Allowing for this to be student housing. That's what I'm going after. I'm not making it transient. This is not my goal. I'm going to market this to students from probably June this year, and I'm going to have it filled before I even open doors.
This is I'm guessing you're going with the University of Scranton students, because...
Geisinger, University of Scranton, Lackawanna, and I have another university that you probably don't know that is sending its students, but Drexel sends students here.
Yeah, that's a pretty far walk. I mean, assuming they're going to be walking.
To where?
To any of the schools.
Scranton. 2 blocks.
Scranton's, University of Scranton is up Mulberry Street, so that's
3
pretty
blocks.
far.
Even if I have to make a shuttle, I'll put a shuttle together that'll go back and forth and bring students. It's not, this is not a hurdle for me. If I have to create a shuttle, I'll create another job and have a person shuttle these kids during, morning peak hours where they have to come there and come back. Again.
As far as the conversations with the potential for filling the vacancies.
Yes.
Is it just with the students, or is it on a level with the universities? Are they conveying a need for this?
So Lackawanna has They're not looking to expand their current housing. They have an extra building, and from what my conversations with them is, they're using that for classrooms, for an expansion of classrooms, which is what they lack. They told me, listen, if we need more rooms, we have a basement. We can make more rooms there. You know, they just added about, I think, 130 or 170 students in the last year, so they're growing. That's a fair big number of growth. You know, and although they may not be seeing it, I see it in the future. There's 2,000 people living outside of the universities. You have about 600 Geisinger, and then you have the juniors and seniors at the U, and you have Lackawanna students that a lot of them live off campus. They don't want to live with the freshmen and the sophomores. They feel themselves a little bit older and more mature, so they don't want to be in that environment. But the problem is the product of housing that's outside of the university, it has its own issues. It's old, and there's a lot of investors here from out of state that don't ever come here. That's not me. I'm here. We want to live here. I want to have a house in the hill section. We looked at 3 homes already. So once this project gets going, I want to buy and move the family here. You know, we want to be here 2-3 days a week, and that's the game plan, because I want to enjoy the city that I'm trying to improve.
How many students are you putting in a room?
One.
One per room?
On some of the big rooms, maybe the corner rooms, because the plans that we have are, you know, they're going to be a little bit, one room may be bigger, one room may be smaller, but maybe the bigger corner rooms may have 2 people in it with their own private bathroom. But that's not definite. Because I want to do, you know what it is, even if it's why I even want to consider that, if it's too expensive for some students, I'll give them the opportunity, if they have a friend, to split the cost and be in the same room, using a private bathroom just for that room, not shared with anybody else. So it gives them the opportunity to sort of save money. It's going to cost me more because obviously more water, more electric. Even though all the electric is going to be updated, it's going to be efficient LED, motion censored. There's just more movement. It's going to cost me more in the end. But if it saves them money, I think I'll sleep better at night that way.
I'm just curious as to what information, you said you wanted to come back to give more information. What more information do you have?
I could provide more renderings of what the inside of the rooms will look like. Well, maybe some data on the amount of people living off campus. And listen, if you guys want me to come back with an attorney, I didn't think I needed to do that. I think I wanted to see you and me as you know, the family. I'm not here to pull one over on anybody. We're here to move here. That's why I kind of wanted to come to you guys directly.
Yeah, like I said, the project, there's concepts and parts of it that are incredible, but there's also a handful of developers in the past 10 years that have also invested many millions of dollars and adhered to that 600 square foot rule.
I agree.
Particularly in downtown Scranton.
I agree, but not for student housing, right? I don't think anybody's done student housing.
No, they haven't.
Right, and that's the problem with that is all the students are, if we could just walk out of here and I could take you into some houses on Jefferson or on Olive, you guys would be shocked what they're living in.
Yeah, you made the statement earlier, just something that I heard you say, that freshmen and sophomores like to live in the dorms, and the juniors and seniors don't want to live with the freshmen. Well, what if you get a freshman and they're your juniors and seniors?
I can't, because freshmen and sophomores are obligated to live on campus for the first 2 years at the University of Scranton.
Not if they commute from their homes. They can commute from their homes. There's an
right, that's the exception.
So
is it freshman and sophomore?
If this is
no freshman,
if this building is not is not owned by the University of Scranton, then it is that they are considered commuters. So they would be a commuter.
They could be, yes.
Well, they would be, because it's not a building that Scranton School, the Scranton University of Scranton, Marywood, any of those schools do not own this building. So they would be a commuter. So anyone could live in this building, a freshman included. It's just something that you said. You made the statement that
every house that I've seen. And why I'm saying juniors and seniors, because every house that I saw that was for sale, that I came in and saw the tenants and spoke to them, or saw students in local restaurants and spoke to them, everybody was a junior and senior. I did not really come across any freshmen or sophomores. And when I spoke to the university, they did say freshmen and obviously sophomores were obligated to live, unless they're a commuter, right? So technically, if they live 2 blocks away, are they going to be a commuter?
Well, I can
Possibly.
I can also tell you that students that do attend Marywood, it's a very expensive school. University of Scranton, very expensive school.
Yeah.
Someone who may come from Pittsburgh, they might not have the money to live off campus. They might want to stay on campus. They might not be given the choice. That's just something to look into also.
We're cheaper than the school.
Do you-
Do you have an intended
ha-
rent amount?
Say again?
Do you have an estimate of the rent amount
Yeah,
And do you have
per
the,
unit?
yeah.
and do you have the,
Are we allowed to know what it is?
Can we share it next time when I solidify it?
Whatever you'd like.
and what about room and board? Do you have the information? Because you seem to think.
From the universities?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
have room and board?
Yeah, so Lackawanna.
Are you going to feed them too? Because room and board for most people include a food plan.
Food plan is extra.
Well,
And
for
I
for a
will-
lot
if
of
they-
school,
if
for a lot
they-
of schools it isn't, so I'm just,
It is extra for both schools, for both Lackawanna and for University of Scranton. University of Scranton charges $3,000 for a meal plan, unlimited. Lackawanna charges about $2,000, but it's not unlimited. I believe it's 19 meals or something like that. Or 19 meals, maybe 19 weeks. I never got the gist of that. But they both charge for their meal plans. Nothing comes free. None in these universities. The cost of living at the U is anywhere between $4,400 and $5,200. And those rooms range from cinder block walls to something nice where you have your own place.
I think we've gotten away from the real issue here.
Yeah,
The real issue is the size of the units.
I understand.
That's really what we're here for. So, yes,
it's going to,
that's the real issue, is the size. Mr. Barrett?
Well, this is the last case, so at this point, I think we should take some other testimony. Obviously, the people that are here are seeming here for this.
My name is Matt Barrett. I'm here tonight on behalf of Scranton Mulberry LP, which is 426 Mulberry Street. Respectfully, I think it's great. You like Scranton. I hope you find a home. I hope your family moves here. I appreciate your generosity and energy for the growth of the city of Scranton, but this application is dead in the water. I mean, this is not a matter of whether or not the apartment or the size is appropriate. From the get-go, this application fails. This is not a dormitory because it's not affiliated with any college or university, so therefore it doesn't qualify as a dormitory. It's been advertised as a dormitory. Tonight's meeting was advertised for residential use. This is, none of these units that we've discussed here tonight, although wonderful, are residential. It's not a dwelling under our ordinance. What we're talking about is a rooming house or a boarding house under our ordinance. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about a dormitory, we're not talking about a dwelling or residential, we're talking about a boarding house or otherwise known as a rooming house. That's what it is under the City of Scranton ordinance. There's been little to no testimony at all about how that fits into the City of Scranton zoning ordinances. I'm going to assume that we're not even here to talk about Phase 2 tonight, because I guess that's in concept 4 or 5 years down the road. So we're here tonight to talk about the Electric City building only. And the application seeks a variance and a special exception. There's been no testimony or explanation as to what variance they're seeking or how this satisfies the requirements of a special exception. I mean, I think it would be great if you can do a viable project, and I encourage you to pursue it, and I encourage you to get a lawyer and come back. But as far as putting this off for another 30 days on an application that fails in so many ways, respectfully, that would not be purposeful for the proposed use or for the people that oppose it. If this comes back and applied for the proper way and advertised the proper way, and we have a full hearing as to whether or not the use fits within one of the categories and whether or not it possibly meets the special exception or variance, that would be a worthwhile discussion. But thus far, there's nothing here that qualifies for zoning approval. And so for that reason, I would ask that you not table this for 30 days, vote on the application that's before you tonight, and then if it can be reapplied for, that would be great. And I hope that you and your family find great longevity here in Scranton.
I kind of have to disagree with him. The application is standing right in front of you, speaking to you. That's, you know, I may
can
not
ask
be
our
the best
solicitor,
writer or the best lawyer, but the plan is simple. We're not here to do transient housing. That's not the game plan. And if I need to bring examples of homes that we've been in and what dilapidated situations they're in to show you, or maybe bring some students here, we can do that at the next meeting.
Respectfully, whether or not we have good housing or not has nothing to do with this project. I mean, again, I appreciate your sentiment and what you've told us about Scranton and how you've been here for 8 months and visited various homes, and that's good, and I'm glad you're looking to solve that problem, but this is not a solution to that problem, at least not under the zoning ordinance. And
I think what Attorney Barrett is telling you is that your layout more fits the definition of a boarding house, rooming house than it does anything else under definitions in our ordinance.
Right.
Am I understanding you correctly?
yes, I mean,
And that's what I'm reading it the same way.
all sorts of requirements for parking and maximum number of units you can have in a building in the commercial district downtown. I mean, there's so many things that have not been addressed. It's not even worthwhile getting into each individual one.
When I mentioned earlier that you probably heard me, that I said that it doesn't sound like an apartment, it sounds like a rooming house, your response was dormitory.
Correct.
So I
And
also,
it does not fit the definition of dormitory.
right, and I also said.
In
rooming
our
house.
ordinance. I know in your definition, it's a dormitory.
Right,
But
that's gonna be use.
according to our ordinance, it's not a dormitory.
Okay.
Okay? I suggest that you go back, hire a lawyer, and amend this application. And we'll re-advertise it with the corrected information on it. And we'll rehear it. You were asking for a continuance anyway. If the board so wishes, they can grant the continuance to give you an opportunity to amend the application.
I'll take that.
I would oppose it, but
Would recommend you come back with a different game plan.
Sure.
Yeah, and that was one of the original suggestions. There's a 600 square foot minimum. Maybe there's a way to make it work. Obviously, it's not going to fall into dormitory or rooming house, depending what's in front of us next time.
Yep.
But maybe there's a possibility you can have an apartment building geared towards student housing that meets requirements.
Okay.
Just a thought.
I'll make a motion for continuance.
Second.
Ms. Newcomb?
I vote no on the continuance.
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Thank you.
Vote of 3-1. The continuance has been approved.
that'll be until the next meeting, is that?
Till the March, yes, I believe it's March 13th.
Thank you.